All right, you're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's the most authoritative news analysis platform, and here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. I'll be sharing some of your messages with the rest of the world very soon. This show is brought to you by the kind sponsorship of MTN. Everywhere you go, Star Assurance, your solid partner, Bank of Africa, as strong as a group and close as a partner. Amen Scientific, God is the healer. And Duraplus, where Duraplus goes, water flows. So now, let's look at the matters of the excavators that we are told have vanished. Okay, let me just read just a few of your messages, then we'll go on. Kwame says that as to individual stroke official number 1, the more I listen to the legal arguments, the more I think the NDC must just save us all and put the name out if they really claim they know the personality. This is about national image and the fact that we need to put the national interest ahead of party interest. Okay. Right, I'll share a couple more with you shortly. Some of your messages, I'm sorry, but I can't be a conveyor belt for them. Citizen Francis says, BBC had access to the Airbus bribery report in 2016. That is why a reporter during an interview with government official 1 asked him a direct question as to whether he had been offered a bribe before, and government official 1 couldn't answer. I don't know what you're talking about. Then, okay, right. I'll get back and scrutinize some of your messages properly before I share them. All right. Now, once again, I think I can start with you, Bobby. What you are listening to and hearing about the Galamsey operation. Some say those at the forefront are letting the president down very badly. There are party people who have actually come forward to say, among other things, that in respect of this matter, the president is absolutely not in control of anything. That's why we are hearing about the rots. In the course of the week, a lot has come out. How do you assess what has gone on, and what does it make you feel about the fight?
Something, it's an uncomfortable scenario of saying that the king is naked. That is how I see it. You see, for a man as Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to say that he's putting his presidency on the line if he doesn't win the fight against Galamsey, he didn't say corruption. Galamsey tells you how personal, for lack of a better word, he took that fight. Now, before this event, or this evidence that has come out, one of the people that you will never expect to compromise his integrity on any form, any level, was Professor Boateng. This is somebody who left his well-earning income to come to Ghana to do this. But from the video, and they've not come out to deny the video that was played, you cannot make any objective analysis without concluding that even if he did not personally partook in what happened, he knew of it and he didn't stop it.
Okay, so Bobby is talking about a video that has been circulating, allegedly recorded by the suspended vice chairman of the party, regional vice chairman of the party, that's Eko Ewusi, who is heard in that video, as we are told, in an interaction with someone who sounds like Professor Frimpong Boateng. It's not been discredited by him so far, and people have taken it that it is without any objection. He cannot say otherwise, that it is not him. And he tells stories, including that Professor Boateng, who is chairman of the Interministerial Committee against this Galamsey, had actually asked him to do a number of things, including set up a committee of sorts. Some of these excavators were supposed to be used, as it were, to get into some form of mining to generate money for the NPP party. And he's heard that voice sounding like him, he's heard saying, but you didn't come back to report to me that you have actually formed a committee. Then he suggests that we brought money, that your son also did one, two, or the other. Then they mention party executives as being complicit in the whole business. And this is the guy who has been arrested by the police, among 6 persons so far said to be arrested. Okay, so you can
Thank you for that. So what I'm saying is that I feel sad for the president because, like you have said, it's been suggested, he seems to have unfortunately lost control over this. And I don't think he expected that the people that he had put in charge would let him down this much. I'm worried because, you see, Galamsey is not an NPP or NDC fight. It's a fight to save Ghana. It's a fight to save our environment. Right. It doesn't matter whether you live in Accra or you live in Boko. If our river, the water bodies that constitute 70% of the earth, our portion goes bad. Our very existence as a country is threatened. And so if a government has set up, and I don't think any president or any right-meaning Ghanaian of whatever political tradition would say that I support Galamsey. I don't think so. So this is a national fight. And if the people that were put in charge have seen it rather as an opportunity to make more money for a selected few, then we should take it very seriously. My only disappointment is that there were signs on the wall long ago that there was something problematic with this fight. Long ago. And the NPP kept spinning it. Now, I heard Mr. Boabian Samoa, the secretary of the NPP, saying that as far as he is concerned, the integrity of Professor Boateng is intact. I heard him on TV.
You're right.
That is intact. He's done nothing wrong. And that is why I sit back and say that, what? He means that because he speaks for the party as a general secretary. Director of communication, sorry.
Whilst he was doing that, the NDC's communication wing, also led by Sami Jemfi, also clearly indicted Professor Boateng directly. And even their caucus in parliament, led by Mutawakilu, also spoke and said Professor Boateng is the first to be arrested. He should not be the one, as we understand, asking that somebody other people be arrested.
Well, I don't want to go into the way the politicians have taken it, but I want to look at it as it is. That once somebody who speaks for the ruling government, that Professor Boateng is the minister of, comes to say that Professor Boateng's integrity is intact, then he goes to suggest that they indeed at that level, and that is what I find disheartening, were aware of what was happening and they decided to look away from it. You see,
there are people within the government, in fact at the presidency, who have publicly asked that Professor Boateng say that he has failed and that his committee should be dissolved.
Well, it doesn't go to the extent of saying that he himself should be made to face charges. Like I said, the signs were on the wall, right from the expose. I think it was by Anas.
Right.
When the person who was originally the chairperson.
The secretary. He was only the secretary, not the... he was only the secretary.
Sorry, the secretary.
Right.
And I think Mr. Ekwewusi was his deputy. So the secretary was caught on tape, which the investigative bodies refused to investigate, or they said that they had investigated and they didn't find any need to prosecute him. But since then,
I don't think there's a conclusion yet.
Yeah, the police cleared him.
And then Mr. Amidu said, no. So the police cleared him. They are waiting for Mr. Amidu's conclusion.
Yes.
But I have not, since then, I have not heard him, the secretary, or former Mr. Bisu, actively participating in this fight. I have not. And so it seems to suggest that his role was now taken by Mr. Usi. It seems to suggest who was his deputy at that time. And this is where Mr. Usi has brought us.
If you listen to members of the Vanguard, we started with a Vanguard team of 400. And then that Vanguard team is the one you saw a public display of, inaugurated by the president or the defense minister to do this job. If you listen to them, it does appear they and the other group, which is the Galamsey, which we understand was set up by the minister, they seem to have to be clashing. And it does appear that the Ekowusi actually has control over the Galamsey and not the Vanguard team. And it is the Galamsey that's been supposed to be taking the excavators, SUVs, and other trucks that they seize into custody. And somehow they don't get to the particular custodies that they're supposed to get to.
I also started getting worried when there was a news item of some of these excavators being bent. And that is when I said, one, the law does not say it should be bent. Secondly, it may be an opportunity for them to say we have bent all. Because we see it in this country. When they bend one, I mean, when there's a flame, how would you know the quantity or the volume? Then I started thinking that there may be something wrong. It was just a matter of time. It also goes to see or goes to bring back to fore the problem of our political funding of political parties. Because that is the justification, well, as of now, in the video,
alleged
for what they did. And when you hear some of the NPP bigwigs who have said that they have complained from day one, the election of this same gentleman to the high office of deputy regional chairman, and that all that the electorate say that he's the one who was able to provide them with, there's a letter, I don't know whether it is true or not, by a member of parliament within the region who said the guy has bought 300 cars, he has done this, he sponsored the party. As it stands now, he had even gone far to give money to certain aspiring MPs in, is it the constituencies that when you are not an MP, they have an orphan constituencies to boost the campaign, and so the president should ensure that he's left off the hook. Now, as we stand now, there's what I also find particularly interesting is the statement issued by the police. And you see the statement. 6 persons have been arrested in connection with, and the statement has a part that says that they have been cautioned. You don't, I mean, if you see, yes.
What does it, I have it here. What does it mean? What does it mean when they say they have been cautioned?
The statement itself.
That's part of the investigation.
That is what I mean. No, but it says that they have been cautioned.
So they've taken their caution statement and are still investigating.
No, and it concluded that they are still in police custody. I don't know if my memory of it was right. That they have been cautioned.
But I think they've subsequently granted them bail. Yes, which
and they are still
rightfully done. But let's go into the substance.
So it goes So it goes to say that if nothing comes out of such investigation criminally, then and there seems to be political pressure on the powers that be to make sure that these guys are not prosecuted. Now these excavators are owned by Ghanaian citizens or people who were doing business in Ghana, whether lawfully or unlawfully. But as you said, the law states that if these excavators are seized, they should be applied to the benefit of the state. That has not been done.
Okay.
Is that causing financial loss to the state if you stretch it? Yes. The people who have lost these excavators, would they have a cause of action against whoever took them and did not apply it to, where they were supposed to have been done?
Yes,
well, as at date, I would say that we seem to have lost the fight against Galamsey because it wasn't a fight at all.
I see. The police statement said that they had arrested 6 persons over missing excavators and other equipment seized by operatives of Operation Vanguard. Suspect Ekowusi, who was contracted to take custody of the seized equipment, was arrested on Monday, February 2, 2020 at Ablenkpe in Accra, together with 5 other accomplices, namely Frederick Ewusi, Joel Asamoah, Adnan Haruna, Frank Jan, and Joe Ahen. Eko Ewusi, Frederick Ewusi, and Joel Asamoah have been cautioned on the offense of stealing, while Adnan Haruna, Frank Jan, and John Ahen have been cautioned on the offense of abetment of stealing. All suspects are in police custody. the public is assured that due processes will be followed. Stealing is not the right charge.
That was what I was coming to.
Okay, but that's the initial process. You never know how.
Where they will end.
Now, what were you thinking? That they should charge them for what?
I think there should be a start of fraudulent breach of trust.
Fraudulent breach of trust. How do you explain that?
They were in public office. They were given custody of public, because if you say stealing, you would have taken the thing from the owner. Government at that stage is not the owner of the excavators.
Yeah, because the court hasn't
ordered that exactly.
But you took it from the owner, ostensibly in
performing yes, a public duty.
Yeah. Okay.
So then you wouldn't have stolen it from the owner.
So this is a wrong charge.
That is what I think at this stage.
And if they pursue this only, they may get off.
That is exactly what I was saying.
Okay.
That, they were put in trust on behalf of the state.
They didn't steal.
They didn't steal.
Okay.
Oh, but there are circumstances where sometimes you take it like this and it amounts to. So yes, as for the fraudulent trust, you
have given him charge of the thing.
Yes.
He should transport it from one place to the next.
Yes. And then he diverts it.
He diverts it.
Yes, there's this
That's
case.
stealing.
Yes, there's this case. Is it the Chamber of Mines?
Okay.
We used this some months ago. It's in the Mensa Bone.
All right. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
That's Martin. That's Martin Pebu for you.
They're expecting.
Okay. All right. So I'll take a quick break here. When we return, just as you take it from the point where we are now learning that it's not just excavators we are talking about. In fact, there's one individual who claims that over 50 of his excavators were taken away. And we are told that one excavator could cost as much as 500,000 or so. That's a lot of money. So
there's about 100,000, between $80,000 and $100,000.
$80,000 and $100,000.
Which is the 500,000.
Depending on the make.
Yeah.
All right.
And
they've taken in over 50 of them from one individual. His vehicles, SUVs, all of them taking. And we are now being told also about gold. In fact, gold that they seized in the course of their operations. Where is all of that? Where has it gone to? All right, we'll be right back. You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. So my question was to you. Those people, they are all about the place. They are giving interviews all over the place, complaining about their gold, their other vehicles, not only excavators. How does that make you feel, and what should they be doing?
Well, Samson, to be honest with you, I am very disappointed in the state of affairs now. The reason for this is that I have been an advocate for us to have a very good environment. I had the opportunity somewhere 2011, of seeing the damage caused by Galamsey in the Amancia, East and West areas. And I spoke to an old lady who at the time told me that, look, my son, life is very difficult for us because what used to be farm lands for them, where they could walk to easily, have all been destroyed because of Galamsey. And now before she can get to her farm, she has to go through another community, go through a vehicle. So it's like, if you have to go through, let's say, here and circle, which is very close. Now they probably have to go towards Achimota, La Paz, and come through Kaneshi or something. And because of that, they are not able to farm effectively. And I said, why don't you go along where these things are? I said, no. They've done a lot of pits such that people go, they fall in, and they die, and nobody hears of them. I looked at the general environment and I said, goodness, this has to stop somewhere. So when this campaign came, fast forward, I saw what was happening to the pride and all those. So when this campaign came, some of us were really happy about it. Now it looks like Bobby said, it's now a lost battle. The initial, no battle. The initial bits, I think the initial bits was good because our water bodies and all that, we all had evidence that, look, they were beginning to get back to normal. Now suddenly this so-called community approach to mining comes in, which for me is probably next to Galamsey in its own right. We know the difference between Galamsey and regulated mining. We know, as lawyers, we know. But in the practical bits of it, once the people know that there's some community, whatever, beyond those who have been properly licensed, others will also join the fray. Now we have a situation where we have Vanguard and Galamsey. We are not too sure who is taking the inventory and who is in possession of what. There's been accusations from both ends. Now individuals have also come out to say that beyond the excavators, we've lost our vehicles, as in regular SUVs, saloon vehicles. We've lost gold because at the time we were arrested, we had in our possession some gold ore and what have you. And all these things were taken from us. Nobody is accounting for these things. But the basic question is, do we respect the laws that we put together as a people? Because we have the Minerals and Mining Amendment Act 2015. That spells out that when these things happen and you seize whatever, be it an equipment, a product, whatever, you need to keep it with the police. Custody of the seized items must be with the police. Now I'm asking myself, do we have any inventory at all? And can the police service come out to tell us that, well, these are the things that have brought to us in accordance with the law, and that this is the inventory we have? I'm saying this because we seem to have a situation where we are being given different numbers in terms of the excavators. In one bread, it's about 600, in one bread, 500, in one bread, 200, and whatever. Now, the various places that these equipments were cut and taken to, who was in charge of them at the point where these items were deposited? And in the course of transporting them, who ensured that all these things were done properly? We've had issues of tracking devices that have enabled some of the miners who lost these things to now trace that their equipment are in other locations. They follow up and it's still doing some mining activity. Clearly, there's something amiss. And I think that the earlier we look at this dual activity happening, Galamsey and Vanguard, such that the overlaps and the distortions are all smoothing, the better for all of us. But I think that once the president made a promise to us that he is ready to put his presidency on the line, this is the time that that commitment should come to the fore. I think that what is beginning to happen, we are all hearing, for example, in the Western region, it is very difficult for people to get water now. And if you listen to the Ghana Water Company, they are actually attributing this in part to Galamsey. They understand that the dry season is also a factor, but they are saying that Galamsey is making the water so turbid that they even have to spend so much and a lot more time to be able to purify. And now people cannot get water as well. Basically, we are threatening our basic existence as a people. Water, as they say, is life. And these are all parts of the effects of Galamsey. I think that the president should quickly put his acts together by bringing all the parties in. Let us have a very comprehensive and well-detailed information as to what has happened as far as this fight is concerned. Let's not shield people. Let's come clear and say that, look, this is where we have erred, or this is where things were not applied properly. Because if we cannot respect the basic laws, that tells us where we should keep them. I mean, if all these were kept to the police, we could be asking the IGP to give us responses. But clearly, the law was breached. The seized equipment, the products were not sent there.
That's why Mutawakilu says that you have been given a job, and the law directs you as to how to do the job. If you seize equipment, they are evidence of crime. So keep them with the police, so that when they are prosecuting, they may need to use this evidence. So the first person to fall, according to the minority, is the professor.
Well, you see, I agree that this is the situation. So clearly, the law has not been respected. It is clear from the Minerals and Mine Amendment Act. If you go,
and you just said
yes,
the reason there have been the diversions is because we didn't put them at proper custody.
Even in terms of allocation, it can only be done after the person has been convicted and the court, as the law requires, had given an order that there should be forfeiture and then allocated to a specific institution of state. It doesn't give room for people to go about selling anything.
Some affected persons have spoken to us, and they say that there have even been court orders directed at these people who are keeping the machines to release them to them, and they don't seem to want to respect even the court orders.
They're powerful.
I mean, then there is more or less a state of impunity at this point. Because if we refuse, as in quote, government officials or people connected to the public service to obey the courts based on lawful orders that have been given, which have not been set aside, then I don't know what else we want to do to ourselves now. I think the president should bring all his nationals to the fore and ensure that this Galamsey fight is not lost. Because clearly at this point, we are in disarray and we may be losing it completely. And if we lose it now, I don't know when we can get that commitment and initiative to be able to get where we were probably a year or so ago.
By the time the ban on small-scale mining was being lifted, sometime in August thereabout or September 2018, the ban was placed in April of 2017. By the time it was placed for 6 months, but later it was extended. By the time it was being lifted, they had arrested illegal miners, over 1,300 of them, and only 10% were facing prosecution. Does that give you a sign of what has happened over the period, particularly now that, you know, the media coalition that had its eye on the process took sort of, you know, stop following and monitoring the process?
Yes, because, you know, even from day one, as soon as the ban was placed, it came out that, look, we had at least 3 million Ghanaians affected, because you see, they have to use a multiplier effect. You just don't look at the number of persons involved in Galamsey, but you do a multiplier. That's a multiplier by the average number of persons in a family. And so some experts said at least about 3 million people being affected. So straight away, what it signaled was that these are political votes. These are persons who potentially could vote for the government or vote against it. So you see that from day one, there had always been a strong political, what do you call it, an undertone to this Galamsey fight. So to the extent that you don't find, I'm not surprised that you don't find many persons being prosecuted, because if that were so, if they prosecuted almost all of them, then you'll be sure that the government will be kicking itself out of office.
So a coordinator of the team told us here about 3 weeks ago when we were discussing the same issue, that part of their problem is political influence, politicians in the process.
Yes.
What does that tell you about what we have heard in that video that was referred to? Even though we have heard the name of the person who was mentioned as the one whose concession was going to be used, you know, to mine and to generate money for the party. We have heard him say that it was to be small-scale mining, not illegal mining.
Yes. Well, you see, Sam, this one's naturally, when there's such a huge accusation, it's to be expected that there will be denials and all that. But the video speaks for itself, and we all can make sense of it for ourselves, okay? So bottom line is that in all of this, because votes are at stake, and the votes could tilt the elections one way or another, these are the things that will naturally happen. So the solution is for you, the media. I think Benavle and Co, you guys started the campaign. So just make sure that you are back in the saddle and keep pushing. I'm sure the president will listen, because he's already said that, look, he will put his presidency on the line for this campaign. So, and I'm happy during this week that tape was played over and over and on a number of media outlets.
All right, thank you very much. We've run out of time. My guests have been Martin Kpebu, Dr. Justice Jansen, and Bobby Bunsen. Earlier, we had an interview with the Finance Minister, Mr. Ofori-Atta. Have a good afternoon. My name is Samson Ladi Anyenim.